Hi everyone! So I have been meaning to make this video since Samhain, and I was just trying to figure out how I wanted to go about doing it. I was going to do a different setup, potentially on my dining room table with a different camera. Then somehow I seemed to think that using my webcam at my desk might be a little easier. So I'm hoping it turns out well. Obviously I will check everything before I upload it. But I did this spread on Samhain that is working with ancestors, and I had a very interesting experience with it, and I kind of wanted to just share and walk you guys through the spread itself if you want to try it and what I experienced. So this is the Wild Unknown Tarot, and I've noticed that I tend to read with this one more for myself, or if I'm going to do a very intense reading, and it's mostly just because I have been reading with the Wild Unknown for 2 years now, rather extensively, almost exclusively, and I just have developed a very deep kinship with this deck. So it's funny because it's this deck and then the Revelations Tarot, the only two decks that I own that I have like that deep of a kinship with. The others I'm still kind of building a relationship with, but I knew that I had to read with the Wild Unknown when I did this. So, as I've said before, this spread is called Whispers of the Ancestors. And excuse me because I'll be referring to my phone a little bit here as I kind of walk through it. But I found the spread on Pinterest. If you guys don't know, Pinterest is actually a pretty good resource for a lot of witchy things. Especially witchy crafts. I found a lot of fun stuff on there that I have either tried or wanted to try. But on the image itself, it says that the author is, it just gives a website. It says www.gypsyartevents.com. So that is where this spread came from. I did not make it. But I'm going to walk you through it now. So the first card that I drew was the Hermit. And the position is that which ancestors are present. Now this card actually kind of stumped me a little bit. I was not really sure what to make of it or who I could potentially be communicating with. And I figured as I went along, the rest of the cards would draw a narrative to help me understand that card. I tend to do that if I pull a card I don't understand. If I finish the reading and it still doesn't make sense, then I pull clarification cards. At the end of the reading, I had a pretty good idea of who I was talking to. So, the second position is, what is your relationship to me? And that's this one right here, Daughter of Cups. Now, I took this as I am a daughterly descendant of who I'm speaking to. Now, this could honestly be any of my great-greats, truthfully. Or it could be my mother or my grandfather. And I have stated before in the on my channel here that I have had many experiences with my grandfather after he passed. And it was after this reading that I started to understand that I think my grandfather is somewhat of a guide to me. And it's funny that it took me this long to come to this conclusion, because all of the things that I've experienced over the years and what I experienced with my mother's passing, it just confirms it for me. But so I did not feel my mother's energy when I did this. I felt my grandfather. And so I took the Daughter of Cups as I am a daughterly descendant. I am his granddaughter. So the third position is, what general gifts have I inherited from you? And I pulled the Mother of Pentacles. Well, the Mother of Pentacles is just that kind, compassionate, motherly energy. And this was something that did make me scratch my head to think that maybe my mother's energy was there. But I also know that I learned a lot about love and compassion from my grandfather. Not to exclude the things that my mother taught me, but I just felt that this was something that was coming from him specifically. So Moving on to position 4, which would be the Lovers, it says that, what are your hopes for me? And that was also pretty easy for me to determine. I pulled the Lovers, and it seemed to me that my grandfather wants me to continue to go through life and experience love in all the many different ways that you can experience love. He wants me to be loved. He wants me to understand that I am deserving of love, and that I should project my love upon others, and that I should show compassion and show kindness and find connection with whoever I choose, whoever I make connection with. My grandfather was very much about living life the way that he wanted to live it, and that was something I always admired from him. So I definitely took that message too. That was pretty easy for me to see. And then the 5th position is, how can I honor my heritage? I pulled the Tower, and this card, the Tower is one of the cards that definitely makes me scratch my head or stop, kind of like, ooh, whoa, why am I getting that card? You know, so it's one of those cards that you have a knee-jerk reaction to. We all have those cards that we just have that connection with. So I kind of pulled it, and I was like, oh, huh. But then I realized that the Tower represents sudden upheaval, a dramatic change in your life, and most of the time it will be painful, but in the end you will come out the stronger. And I have to say, I think the reason why I pull the Tower somewhat often in my readings is because that is the general theme of my life. I tend to have those moments very frequently where something will happen and I'll feel like my world is falling apart, and then suddenly I have become stronger for it, insanely stronger in ways that I never thought I could be stronger. And so I realized that I can honor my heritage by being steadfast through adversity. And this was another thing that I really learned from my grandfather. It was strange. It was like you never saw the man angry, and if he ever faced a challenge, he just, we'll figure it out, you know. He was amazing that way, and I always admired that from him. I always figured, like, how do you keep yourself together when it seems like your world is falling apart? And I experienced this quite a bit with him because my uncle had passed when he was a bit younger. He was about 40 years old and had a massive stroke, and I watched my grandfather grieve, and even then he still was, he knew that he would come out the stronger for it, and he knew that he would let his grief do what it needed to do. So I feel like I can honor my heritage by taking those lessons and the things that he taught me in the sense of strength through adversity. So it was very interesting to get the Tower in that position and to look at that and see that lesson there. And then, sorry, I'm gonna open up my phone again here because it went to sleep. The final position is card number 6, and it is the healing message from the ancestors. And I pulled the Son of Wands, and this one was also pretty easy for me to spot right away what it really meant, and it was very much a let your light shine. And again, my grandfather encouraged me all the time, and he used to tell me, you're never too old to learn something new, or if you have a passion for something, that you need to embrace it. And I learned a lot of those lessons from him specifically. So it's clear to me that he still wants that for me. It's clear to me that he still believes that I can be that way, and that I can find my passion, and no matter what it is, and let my light shine and project my true self to those around me, and hopefully be a beacon to those who need it. So this was a really interesting reading, and I will put the questions and the spread layout down below for you guys in the box below the video. But I just really wanted to share it. I really wanted to share my experience with it, and really encourage you guys to do it if you want to hopefully contact someone who passed, or just an ancestor or a guide, or I think it could kind of work with anything, but it was a really, really cool experience. With that being said, I don't know if I'm going to be pumping out any more videos next week. I have a really busy week ahead of me, but if not, then you guys will see more content from me probably the following week. My husband and I are going on a trip next week for our anniversary, and I've got some other commitments that I've got going on, so I am super excited for next week and everything that it'll bring, but I just don't know how much content I will be putting out for you guys. But that's all I've got for today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. It's Friday, we just had our new moon, and I hope you guys are blessed and loved and everything's going super awesome for you. Blessed be.